Hello there survivors, and welcome back to another video in ARK Survival Ascended. It is finally time for a new region to be added to Astraeos, and in today's video I've got 30 different base build locations, but I'm gonna repeat myself. It's pretty hard to pick a spot that isn't beautiful on this map. It's absolutely gorgeous, and this new region is no exception. It is absolutely incredible, the different biomes that you can find here, the details. We've got the familiar white cliffs, we've got some of the black cliffs as well, but we also have plenty of new biomes to explore. Redwoods, snowy redwoods, the snow biome, beautiful valleys, nice pre-built structures, and so much to explore again. And of course, plenty of cool places to build your base. So if you're looking for a new location to build a base in the new region, this video will help you out. But if you also want to see some places in the rest of the map, I've got a video for that as well. As always, of course, if you enjoy seeing these videos, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And feel free to leave suggestions for builds that you would like to see on this part of the map in the comments down below. Now for these base locations, I've actually chosen quite a big variety. So everything from just really pretty spots that are amazing or have incredible views to some pre-built structures, of course, that you could try to rebuild or quickly expand into your own base. We got some cave locations as well. Of course, we have Aberration, we've got Redwood. We have so many options here, but all of them have incredible views and surroundings because once again, this map is absolutely gorgeous. So I do have some cave locations, I don't have all of them, there's probably more hidden around, but these were some of my favorites. And we're starting off strong with this beautiful temple on top of the cliff with this giant Zeus statue and of course the obelisk in the background as well. This is an incredibly cool looking location. Of course, you've got the pre-built temple here to move in right away, but you do have plenty of spots around there to expand and have your own additions there, and you even have some beautiful beacons that will actually lead to another location that we'll see in a moment. But yeah, this is a beautiful spot. It's nice and high up, so you have views to enjoy all the way around and kind of central in this new area. And you know, of course, you have incredibly cool statues right in your front yard. And if you want to build here, these are the coordinates. But yeah, as I said, this is an incredibly beautiful spot, and you have of course the temple that you can quickly turn into your own base with some foundations and a gateway to close it off. But the platforms around it actually provide plenty of areas where you could add your own buildings to it, and of course you could go as far and as wide as you want. But you have some amazing views and some incredibly cool statues. I really hope we'll get some more of these statues into the custom cosmetics as well, because they are awesome. And actually these beacons that we have over here are pretty cool as well. There's actually a whole path of them that you can follow. You can see the beacons are lit, and that will lead us to the second location. So following these beacons all the way to the other side, we find another pre-built structure. This has some castle vibes right here on the corner, once again on top of a cliff, so incredible views of your surroundings, of the valleys around you, the obelisk, and the entire new area pretty much. There's actually also another temple very close to this one. You could kind of combine the two if you need more space. Again, a temple easy to close off and to utilize as your own base. There's some paths to follow as well. But yeah, the top of this cliff with these castle-like structures, they are pretty cool. Easy to rebuild, I think, into your own bases, and then you could have some of your own additions to the base as well. And you have another one of these beacons lit as a really cool addition. The fires look pretty nice. I wish this was a buildable thing or a cosmetic thing for the Astraeos ones, because they look quite cool, these cauldrons. But again, these beacons connect all the way back over to the first spot we took a look at. And if you're considering this location, it's located right here on the map. Then we're moving on to one of the beautiful valleys here on this part of the map. This one is actually really cool, with this river going all the way through this valley and a beautiful forest. And actually have two spots for this one. The first one is down here at the bottom, so that you have the entire valley moving upwards as your background, and you have some decent-ish flat areas at the bottom where you could build some pretty big stuff here in the fields. There's not too many trees there that you need to take out to build your base, so you'll keep the beautiful surroundings intact, and you have some amazing views of these river, the whole valley, the Redwoods even in the distance, and you're close right on the beach here, so you could even have some water access for your boats, your ships, or of course all of your water tames. And if you want to build here at the bottom of the valley, it's located right here on the map. But then if we follow the river all the way up through this valley and plenty of waterfalls, all the way at the top at the waterfall where it begins, there's another nice flat spot right in between two of these cliffs and these peaks, which has another pretty decent flat area that you could easily build a pretty cool base on. And then you would have the different kind of view. You would look down into this beautiful valley with all of these trees, the redwoods still to the side, and of course you're in between these two cliffs that have some really cool structures and trees around it as well. But you most importantly have pretty flat spots to build with, so you don't have to go through too much trouble probably to actually get everything built in this spot. And if you want to go for the top of this valley, it's located right over here on the map. The next locations are some beautiful plains that are perfect for if you've got some very big building plans. Maybe you want to build some big breeding facilities or big castles or whatever you want. This is a very big plains area which has some beautiful views of all the cliffs in the background. It has a nice river flowing through it as well, but most importantly plenty of very flat areas where you can easily build even your biggest buildings that you could dream up. So yeah, if you're looking for some nice flattish spots right along here, should do very nicely. And you still have some amazing views of your surroundings and beautiful river right in the middle as well, so you have some easy water access and you're not too far from the ocean too, should you need it. So if you want to use this location, it's located right over here on the map. The next one is pretty close to the previous one. Again, it's a pretty flat-ish area. You have this beautiful shrine as well that you could utilize as part of your base, but more importantly it's a pretty flat spot with some nice surroundings, nice views of the ocean. You're right on the edge here of the ocean as well, so you have some easy access to the water should you need it. But more importantly, it's a nice flat spot to build with, and you have one of these pre-built shrines that you could utilize into your design. So if you're planning to build something in the Greek theme, this might be a really nice spot. And if you want to build here, it's located right over here on the map. The next one again is a pretty flat area on top of this nice cliff overlooking the water inlet, which creates a big bay in the new area here. But again, it's a pretty flat spot. You don't have to take out too many resources here either, and you have a decent amount of space to work with. So again, if you've got some bigger building plans, this should work pretty well. You're not too far from the ocean too, so if you want to have a water pen close by, you would be able to do that too. But again, most importantly, it's a flat spot. It has some beautiful views of the new area, and yeah, you can easily build something pretty nice here. So if you want to build over here, these are the coordinates. So the next spot is a really unique one. It's right next to the Redwoods. There's actually also a really good plain right on the top there. But I'm more interested in these pre-built structures as well as just this very unique biome, which looks very cool. You've got this orange river. I think this is supposed to be like a clay spot. I think you can get some really good amount of clay here as well. So if you want to build out of adobe, this would probably be a pretty decent spot. But you have the pre-built structures here that you could utilize, as well as if you clear out a bunch of these trees. I think this is a pretty flat area that you could easily expand yourself with some buildings of your own as well. So you could combine those with the pre-built structures so that you could maybe turn this into an entire village or clay mining operation or whatever you want. But it's a really cool and unique part of the map. And if you're interested in building here, these are the chords. This new region finally adds the proper redwoods to the map. We already had a kind of redwood area with custom trees, but these add the big redwood trees that you can have your cliff platforms in. So if you want to do a cliff platform base, there's actually a lot of options here. This is the first redwood, and there's actually this really lovely area here with a little pond in the middle of it where you have some trees close by. So that's probably what I would pick because it's very lovely, and you have a nice pond as well for your water access quite easily. But honestly, there's a lot of trees that you could easily turn into some really cool bases, as well as some cool statues and other structures around here to really add some life to the place. If you want to build your own Wookiee treehouse base, these are the coordinates. The next spot is very high up at the edge of the map, but this will grant you amazing views of the surrounding areas. You have the Redwoods right next door, you have plenty of views of the oceans and the rest of the new region, as well as some lovely valleys quite close to you. You've got some water right down the side as well, with a lovely little lake with some really cool trees around it that you have as a view. Or maybe if you want to go crazy and expand all the way down there, you could definitely do that too. But more importantly, you have a really flat-ish area right on top of this cliff with some amazing views of this area. So yeah, if you want to live high and probably relatively safe, once you clear out the spawns that are here, you would have an amazing view from your base. And if you're interested in building here, these are the coordinates. The next location is another one of these amazing, beautiful valleys that have a lot of flattish area that is great if you want to go big. So this area actually has a lovely shrine to a Minotaur right on the edge as well, but you have quite a few different spots here that are relatively flat, so whether you want to build an absolutely massive base with different sections to it, or I don't know, a whole Jurassic Park, or whatever you want to go for, there's a lot of really good opportunities here to build big buildings, because again, it is relatively flat, which of course, if you want to build big things and you want to have foundations, that always makes life a lot easier. As well as you have some pretty incredible views of the new obelisk and the new mountainous areas right around you. So it's a really lovely area, and again, you do have this Minotaur shrine right on the side of the valley too. So if you want to build here, it's located right over here on the edge of the map. If we move further down the valley, we actually get this new area with new colors for all of the vegetation and the rocks, which looks really cool. It's really nice to see this much variation in the landscaping colors. But you have this beautiful dark lake in the middle with, of course, plenty of beavers swimming around. And around the lake, you actually have different plateaus and parts of the valley that are relatively flat again to build a beautiful base on. And it's actually a really lovely area because you've got views of the white cliffs as well as the snow in the background with the big obelisk right above you, and of course you've got this beautiful lake and you're in the middle of this beautiful new biome. So if you want to build here, it's located right here on the map. And if we move even further down, we get to the beach, and this beach is actually quite cool. It's like a bone beach. There's some really big bones here that could definitely be part of a really cool base. And the beach is relatively flat and actually very wide as well. It goes down quite a way before it goes up into the rest of the landscape, so you could definitely build a decently sized base here. And of course, you're on the beach, so you have water access, so if you want to go and also have a water pen for your water tames, you would easily be able to combine the two. And if you're interested in building here, it's located right over here on the map. The next spot is a really cool little island in the middle of a beautiful lake with the snow biome right behind you, colorful trees, a giant statue looking down on you. It's a little bit ominous, but very cool backdrop, as well as a little ruin to the side as well that you could maybe integrate into your base if you want to expand all the way around. There's another statue in the distance as well as your view, and you're really close to the new obelisk too. It's a really beautiful little lake right on the edge of the snow biome and this new biome that looks absolutely gorgeous, so it's definitely a really cool location. And of course, being an island is relatively safe, and if you want to build here, it's located right over here on the map. And maybe you want to move into the new snow areas if you can withstand the annoying menace that also spawn here. There's a beautiful ice lake which looks really cool. It's got some amazing textures to it, and it's of course a very nice and flat spot to build on. So if you want to live in the snow and you can handle all the dangers that come with that, this is a really cool and unique base location. It's right on the edge of the map, right in the corner, but it's a really cool and beautiful place. So if you want to build that snowman out here, these are the coordinates. And maybe you really want that redwood base, but you also want to live in the snow. Well, it's possible here on Astraeos. There is also a redwood covered in the snow, which makes for a really cool and unique location, of course, to build your treehouse base. There's plenty of trees to choose from, but I really like this one right on the edge of the cliff so that you have some decent views. So if you build your platform right over here, you have a nice view of the surrounding areas, and yeah, you can live your snow life, but then safely up into a tree. And if you want to find this redwood, and specifically the tree that I really like, it's located right over here on the map. Then we have another pre-built structure, another beautiful temple that, again, it's quite easy to turn these into your base. You need some foundations and a gate and you're good to go. And you have a beautiful location here with some pretty outstanding and incredible views of the new biome. And actually, there's a valley right next to you as well that is not really flat, but it has some flat spots, especially next to some of the cliff edges that you could definitely expand your base out to, and you would have some incredible views of these lovely forests as well as some autumn and blossom forest right in front of you with some nice rivers and just incredible views. Or if you move all the way down into the beach, you have actually some shipwrecks there too. So it's a really cool area, and you could start right in the temple so that you can really move in right away and slowly expand with your own builds around it. So if you want to build in this beautiful spot, it's located right over here on the map. And actually very close to that location is another one that is pretty cool. It's another one of those pre-built locations with some nice docks out into the water where you could easily park your rafts or your beautiful Greek ships. And this encampment is actually a really cool pre-built base. You already have the palisades that you can utilize as your defensive wall, and there is a few of these pre-built structures that are begging to be rebuilt into your own buildings. And you could definitely get a pretty cool base going here with a few smaller buildings as well as one bigger building that again is begging to be rebuilt and has a really nice position here in the bay, in the new region, in a new biome, and a lovely autumn colored forest right on your doorstep too. You could even combine it with the temple of the previous location if you really want to expand quite far. And this little camp is located right over here on the map. Then there's another little snow biome, so if you want to have a snow base, there's actually some pretty decent spots here as well. I really like this one because it has a relatively large flat spot high up on a cliff that you could mostly clear out, and there's still a few redwood trees here as well, so if you want to also combine it with a treehouse base, you could definitely do that. But yeah, you have a pretty decent flat area to build with and a beautiful view right from this cliff to the glaciers that are in the bay, and of course your surrounding areas as well. You can even see all the way up to the Wyvern Trench in the distance. And if you want to build here, it's located right over here on the map. This next spot might be all the way on the edge of the world. It is a very nice and secluded base location. You have a nice beach to land on, and you can easily climb up all the way on top of the cliff. You have a relatively flat area on top with some lovely trees around, as well as a really cool looking cliff that sticks out over the sea, and it's actually surrounded with some really cool icebergs too. So it's a really cool and unique location, but off to the side, so hopefully no one will bother you here. If you want to build in this spot, it's located right here on the edge of the map. Another really cool and unique location is this cove right under the cliffs, which is a really nice and different location. It actually has some inlets with water, so you could easily have some of your water tames in here, and it has some really cool unique terrain if you want to maybe go for that pirate cove, although it isn't very tropical, or you just want to be slightly hidden away from prying eyes. There's actually a pretty substantial area here that you could utilize with some different layers, which could make for a really cool almost hidden base, and you have some access points that will connect you back up to the rest of the mainland, but you're a little bit tucked away and not out in the open. And it's also probably a lot easier to make this spot safe without needing dino gates everywhere. If you want to build in this location, it's located right over here on the map. And there's actually another snowy cliff that might come as a surprise because it's kind of in the middle of this new region. It is very high up, so you have beautiful views of all of the surrounding areas. And I really like this one because you can see pretty much all of the cool locations. So you can see the Zeus temple, you can see the obelisk, you can see a bunch of the new valleys, the new cliffs, all the different biomes around in this new region, and you're quite high up, so it's relatively easy to defend, but you might have to do something against the RGs that spawn here. It is a relatively flat area, so you can definitely quite easily build something rather big here if you want to, but more importantly, you have these incredible views. So no matter what you do, you will have a really good time over here. And it's a really cool and unique location where you have some greenery, but also some snow. And if you want to build here, these are the coordinates. Then we have some cave locations. This one is located right over here on the map. This is the entrance, and once you go in, you have a decent amount of space. You've got a little hallway leading all the way down into your cave base. There is a natural light source, but it is not an exit, so it is quite safe in here. And as you can see, you actually have a pretty decent amount of space in here. There is some spawns here, so you will need to block those off, but yeah, you do definitely have a really good amount of space, as well as you have some water here. And it's actually pretty deep water, so you could easily use this as a water breeding pen as well. So yeah, you're tucked away, you're quite hidden, but you have plenty of space to build a pretty decent base here for your land tames, as well as you have plenty of water for your ocean breeding too. The next cave is located right over here, and it's always rewarding when you explore a game and there's something behind the waterfall. So a very hidden entrance here, but you actually do have a pretty decently sized cave over here. There is a lot of greenery in here as well as a crystal that is your light source, but you do have a decent amount of space in here with some different layers. There are some spawns here that you would need to block, of course, to make it safe. But if you want to live in a cave, this one is actually pretty cool. And again, it's a pretty big one, so you have a decent amount of space here to utilize as your base. The next cave is located right over here, and the outside is actually really cool here as well. You could definitely expand on the outside here. You have this beautiful lake with two small islands that you could utilize as part of the base, and then you have the cave itself, which has a relatively small entrance that you can follow all the way through until you get to the inside. And inside there is a pretty big cave with some different layers and some beautiful crystals, giving you plenty of light to work with. So yeah, it's a really cool cave. There's no plants in here, but that might be beneficial for your base plants. But there is a decent amount of space in here to do some really cool builds. This next cave, well, it's not actually a cave, it's more of a pre-built structure, is located right over here. It's this beautiful villa with a very epic entrance with your own personal waterfall and grand staircase leading up to the villa itself, as well as these beautiful trees and this little pond at the bottom. So you could definitely expand here on the outside as well, because once again, this is absolutely stunning. But if you want to, you can actually turn the villa into your main base. So you have a decent amount of space here for the villa to use, and maybe you can actually build something on top of here. But you can also go inside of the structure. So with some foundations and a gate, you can easily secure it and make sure that you can build on the inside over here. And you have a decent amount here on the inside, as well as some fires that are already lit for you, so you can easily move in right away without being blind in the dark. And there's actually a very decent amount of space in the inside, so yeah, there's definitely some room here to utilize as your main base. And then actually here right on the end of your villa, there's a big cave, so it is actually a very big location. It is very dark on the inside here until you get to the glowing purple crystals, which will show you an entire new cave here on the end, which I think is also an extra entrance. But yeah, you do have a little bit of a cave here as well that you could utilize for some of your tames. And then once you get to the outside, you have an extra entrance here on the other side of the cliffs. So it's an easy way to get to the other side of the cliffs as well. You have this little valley that you could maybe utilize as part of your base, because I mean, if you have a gateway in this arch, you kind of already block off most of the area. And you have a beautiful shrine here that has some amazing views of the surrounding areas that you could definitely take advantage of as well. The second entrance is located right over here on the map. The next cave is located right here on the map. And although this is definitely a cave, as you can see, you enter through this hallway with some nice shrubbery around, as well as some cool glowing crystals. But once we get all the way into the cave, it is very, very dark for some reason. I'm not quite sure why it's this dark. I don't know if that's intended or maybe some kind of bug that will be fixed. But if you want to live here in the dark, you could. is very, very dark. So you might want to gamma up if you live here. And it looks like it's a cave, but there is actually a way out on the top as well. So yeah, if you see right over here, there's actually another entrance. Now this might be beneficial because it means that you could fly in, and you can definitely do that, but it will turn very, very dark again once we are on the inside, or maybe not. It's actually less dark if we enter through this way for some reason, but yeah, again, it will get very dark once you're to the bottom of all this. But yeah, this is a really cool location. It's quite big as well, so you definitely have a decent amount of space there, and maybe you think it's an advantage that you can enter through the sky. The only downside that I really think there is here is that it is so freaking dark, which I wouldn't really like. I don't know if lights are going to be a solution for this, but maybe if it gets fixed later on or it gets changed, that would be really helpful because it is a really cool location. The next cave, we have to dive down into the sea, but located right over here is another cave. And as you can see, it's got this really cool entrance, but once you are inside, you don't need to have a scuba mask anymore because it is actually just a normal cave in here. So you can't really do any of your water tames in the cave itself, but it is a very cool and big cave to utilize. So yeah, if you want to be hidden away on the bottom of the sea and maybe expand with a little Atlantis build on the outside for your water tames, this is definitely a really cool spot located at the bottom of the ocean. But yeah, you do have plenty of space here to make a pretty cool base. Now up next is the Maelstrom, which in itself is a really cool and unique location, and it definitely would make for a really cool base spot. You could even just build right here in the middle, although I think this is actually pretty good resources too, as well as there's some aberrant creatures that spawn here that you might want to keep around. But yeah, it is a really cool spot, and you could definitely build a really cool base. Maybe something kind of Atlantis inspired without actually having to be underwater, kind of like Atlantis has re-risen out of the bottom of the ocean. Well, it's not risen yet, but at least the water has cleared away. But there's actually also a cave here. So yeah, one of these sites, or a few of these, you can actually go into these caves. You've got a pretty decent sized cave here. There are some spawns that you would need to block, but it's definitely a really cool and very unique base location, of course, being right inside of the Maelstrom, having a pretty decent amount of space in these caves. And again, you could choose to expand into the middle of the Maelstrom if you wanted to, but no matter what, you'll have a very cool and unique base location. And if you can't find it, the Maelstrom is located right over here on the map. This new region of Astraeos actually also adds an Aberration area. It's a fertile area, so everything that you normally see in the green zone you can expect over here. And there's two entrances, at least that I've found so far. One of them is located right over here on the edge of the map, and the other one is actually right over here. And if you want to go for some Aberration vibes for your base location, this is definitely one of the better options, because Minotaur has managed to make a really cool looking Aberration zone where the lighting actually works very, very well. You can quite clearly see there's a big lake as well to utilize, and pretty much everywhere is quite beautiful with beautiful views. Just keep in mind that if you are building here, and especially if you build something big in here, you are blocking some of the Aberration creatures, and there's not a lot of spawns for those on this map so far. So just keep that in mind, but there's definitely quite a few cool spots that you could utilize in this Aberration zone. It's not very big, so if you're building on a server, you know, you might have to be here early to claim this spot, or you might get some neighbors and it might get very crowded in here. But it is definitely a really cool looking location, and I think it's the best version of Aberration we've gotten in ASA so far. And I would probably build somewhere alongside of this lake. I really love the look of this lake with the lights and the crystals on the other side, and you could even build out on stilts and maybe build something on pillars in the lake, in the middle of the lake. That could be quite cool. But yeah, it's a really beautiful Aberration zone. And there we go, that were 30 of my favorite building locations in this new region of Astraeos. But as I said, it is absolutely gorgeous here, so you can't really go wrong no matter where you end up building your base. If you found some other beautiful spots, please share the locations in the comments below, and of course don't forget to like the video if this helped you out. If you want to see me build in any particular location, in any particular style, feel free to leave some suggestions down in the comments too. And then thank you so much for joining me today, and I will hopefully see you again in the next video or stream. For now, goodbye.